Good morning. Happy Easter. This is Marypatriece Raupp. I'm the spiritual leader for Unity Spiritual Center of Woodstock.
And I'm Reverend Tom, wishing you all a happy Easter. Welcome, everyone.
We're so glad that we get to celebrate this day with you, and we're excited for our talk today and just getting into the day and doing all that we can do. So let's take a moment to have a prayer. Let's take a deep breath. Go in from our head space into our heart spaces, knowing that there is a spirit here that connects us all, whether we are able to be near or we have to be far. We know in heart that we are one. Thank you, God, for this time and place and space. Thank you for the technology that allows us to share this time together, and for those that connect with us and those that we are reaching out to. We're so grateful for all the gifts of the day, and we're so grateful that we get to do it together. For all the things that we have in our lives, for all the relationships that we value and those that we are going to meet in any moment. We say thank you, and so it is. Amen.
Amen. Why, aren't we fortunate that I never considered myself a techie in terms of social media, and the term Zoom didn't appeal to me all that much, but this is a great venue. We're going to be doing Zoom after this service for conversations, and this Facebook Live is just what a wonderful tool to connect with people when it's so hard to connect. So we're grateful for it. I sure am. That's for sure. And isn't it interesting that I was forced to expand my body, to move out of my tomb of resistance to social media. And here we are. So I'm so glad to be with all these folks. Look at all these folks signing in. How good is that? Eileen and David and George and Joe. My goodness, what a great group of people.
We're so grateful that you are here, and you know it is a different kind of Easter, and interestingly enough, we're going to be talking about emptying the tomb today. Let's empty the tomb of our thinking, and perhaps, soon we'll be even able to leave our homes at some point and enjoy more of what we're used to being around, and the people we're used to seeing. So today is a special day. We can celebrate it no matter where we are. We know that we are connected with each other, and we get to share these moments in just a different way. A different way. It's not a bad way. It's just a different one.
Yeah, so, for now it's a new normal.
It is a new normal.
For this time frame, and who knows until when. Agreed. This is what we do. Yeah, so we make the best of it. Hi, Donna. Welcome.
Well, let's go ahead and start with our unity principles. Okay? So I'll start off. There is only one presence and one power in the universe and in my life, God, the good omnipotence.
The Christ Spirit lives within me.
Thoughts held in mind produce after their kind.
I experience God's presence and power through prayer and meditation.
I put my faith into action by demonstration. And Unity Spiritual Center of Woodstock, we believe that we are more spiritual than religious, so we are not tied to any particular routine on a service Sunday. We can go with the flow as much as we'd like to, and make any moment sacred to us. All it takes is the mindset and the intention to do so. Would you say?
I would say so. And being more spiritual than religious, we also honor everyone's path. Whatever your path to God is, we say, if it works for you, God bless you. And of course, we know that Christians around the world are celebrating this as maybe the most sacred day of the Christian calendar, this or perhaps Christmas. And so we honor that too. And we're doing our part in honoring this day in a spiritual sense, in more of a spiritual sense. Would you agree?
I would agree.
Cool.
And if you find that there's something that speaks to you in this service and you would like to support our organization, please go to unitywoodstock.org and find the donate button there. We appreciate any gift, large or small.
Absolutely, yeah.
Would you like to start us off today?
Sure. Again, the title of our talk today is Emptying the Tomb. And, I looked at the four Gospels regarding this day, and Jesus had been placed in the tomb, and a huge stone was placed at the opening to prevent any looters from getting in, to just prevent his his body from being disturbed. And of course, the Easter message is that he transcended this physical world and his entire body was resurrected. But the rolling away of the stone seems to be an important part of the Easter story, although he did not need the stone rolled away, apparently, to be resurrected. And yet, in the Gospel of Matthew, as they were approaching the tomb to anoint the body with oils and spices, which was the custom of the day, they said a great earthquake occurred and the stone was rolled away. In the Gospel of Mark, it says they were saying to each other, this was Mary and Mary Magdalene, how are we going to roll this big stone away when we get there? And they found it rolled away. In the Gospel of Luke, they also found the stone rolled away as they approached the tomb. And lastly, in the Gospel of John, it says, early on the first day of the week, while it was still dark, Mary Magdalene came to the tomb and saw that the stone had been rolled away. So, while it's apparent that, and tradition says that Jesus did not need the stone rolled away, I think sometimes, just speaking for myself, I find myself in a tomb. And it could be a tomb of anger or depression or frustration or sheltering in place because my mind can go to places I don't want it to go. Could be some of my history showing up. And for me to leave my tomb, I have to roll that stone away, or that stone needs to be rolled away, often by my own power within me that we in Unity say we have. And so that's how I'm starting out saying this. How about you? What do you see in that idea?
Well, I see that Easter happens regularly. It can happen every day. It could happen more than once a day. It could happen every year. It depends on the level of time that you, or the event that hurts you, the experience that hurts you, that sends you into the tomb. How big is that moment for you? It may be years that you stay in the tomb because you just don't want to be hurt again. Mm-hmm. And I know sometimes for me, I may delay coming out because I just feel so safe there and secure that I'm not sure that I ever want to leave. So there is a danger sometimes in my mind that I can allow events that happen to cause me to go into a tomb and want to stay there. And that's really not serving me as a spiritual being. And what my goal is, and my intention is to continually move forward, to move through these experiences. Not that we can't experience them and go through all the emotions that they bring, but that I get to the door of that tomb and I make that stone move away. And I might use different methods to do that. I may use tools that I've learned in a class that I've taken at church. I may learn strategies for dealing with stress. I also might think about talking to a health professional that can help me move through it so that I'm not stuck in a space that keeps me from experiencing the total expression of who I'm meant to be, because we all have gifts. We have a gift here that we are meant to share. Wouldn't you say?
Oh, absolutely. I think I'm wondering if, using the metaphysics of the Easter season, that what puts us in the tomb is the Good Friday experience. Something kind of maybe kills us spiritually in some way, or diminishes our spiritual power in some ways, at least in our mind, such that, as you said, we'll stay in that tomb for lengthy periods of time sometimes. I mean, I'll bet everybody here listening has been through some very difficult times where it seemed like it seemed as though maybe you felt hopelessness, despair, frustration. How am I going to get out of here? But you did. You were able to roll the stone away, and sometimes we do it on our own, and sometimes we have people help us. I'll push it away, you pull out there, or something like that. And then sometimes we'll have an intervention that seems like we had nothing to do with, and the stone is rolled away. But leaving the tomb is our resurrection into a more, I think, a deeper spiritual life.
Agreed.
Does that sound good? Does that sound right to you?
I agree.
Okay,
Yeah.
Let's see, where should we go next? Maybe I'll tell this story about one of my greatest resources just for this time of shelter in place and any time are TED Talks, and I recommend them. And I was listening to a TED Talk. In fact, it's the #1 TED Talk by Ken Robinson. And as it relates to this subject today, he was talking about a young lady by the name of Gillian Lynn, who when she was in school, as an early in school, she was fidgety, she couldn't pay attention, she was what we might label as a poor student. And in fact, in today's world, she might be diagnosed with ADHD, I'm thinking. And so her mom took her to a specialist, and the specialist chatted with her for a while and said to her mom, let me talk to you outside for a moment. They assured Jillian that they would be back. So they went outside, and the specialist said, I want you to watch your daughter. They could apparently see her through a window. And as soon as they left, she started moving around, this student. And the doctor said to her mom, your daughter isn't sick, she's a dancer. And you need to enroll her in a dance school, a school of dance. It turns out she did. And it turns out that Jillian became the choreographer for the Broadway musical Cats. Her career was distinguished. She became a multimillionaire, gave millions to charities, and all because this doctor was wise enough to see the stone that our culture was putting in front of this girl and keeping her in the tomb of having to conform to an educational system that just can't always meet everyone's needs. This isn't a rap on teachers or our system. They're just people who need to learn differently. And so he essentially rolled the stone away for her, and her mom was able to hear that and enroll her in a school of dance, and that just started something that impacted many people throughout the world.
You know, it's funny that you mentioned that. So, you know, sometimes we stay in the tomb because other people either say something that encourages us to stay there. And I had read a story about Susan David, who is a psychologist, and what happened to her was when she was 16, her father passed away from cancer. And she was a really good student, and she continued going she never missed a day of school, she never took a day off, she never took any extra time on assignments. She did everything as she was supposed to, and people were praising her for staying, and yet she was dying inside because she was grieving so badly about her dad's passing. And it wasn't till the next year that a teacher, she said, looked at her and recognized what was going on and handed her, along with the other students, a notebook and said, I want you to take this notebook and write what you're feeling and what's happening for you as though no one's going to read it. Mm-hmm. And that was the start of her rolling back the stone. Someone else gave her the tool to roll it back, but she didn't know how to do it till then. And so she went on to become a very successful psychologist and is able to help people, and really has built her world around, her practice around finding your authentic self, acknowledging the emotions that you're going through, and knowing that they are not directives. Your emotions are the data that guide you or give you. Your emotions are data, but they aren't the directives of what you should do in your life. They're letting you know whether something is supporting you, or they're letting you know when something is not supporting you. And that gives you information to make new decisions so that you can resurrect yourself in any given moment and move towards the sources and the people that support you in becoming who you're meant to be.
So Susan David had somebody help her roll the stone away. Agreed. In a lot of ways. But do you think that as uncomfortable as the tomb may be at times, it may be hard to leave. It may take a lot of courage, a lot of fortitude, and it sounds like she had the courage to do that.
I think that she was hurting so badly that she was looking for the opportunity or the signs or tools to help her do that. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes you start looking when you feel you have no other choices. You really start reaching out for anything that's going to help you, which is exactly what you should do.
And it brings to my mind another story, and I've shared this before, but I just think it's so applicable to what we're talking about today. One of my favorite motivational speakers is Les Brown, and Les Brown tells the story of that when he was very young, he was diagnosed as being, it's an odd term, uneducatable retarded. And years later, he was in a class, and the instructor said, Les, go up to the board and write this for me. And Les said, well, sir, I can't do that. And the instructor said, well, I just want you to go up to the board and write this. And Les said, sir, I can't do that. And the instructor asked, why? He said, sir, I have been diagnosed as being uneducatable retarded, so I can't do that. And the instructor said, Les, don't ever refer to yourself in those words ever again. And he didn't. And Les Brown has become a world-renowned motivational speaker. His story is fascinating. If you ever listen to one of his motivational talks on YouTube, I highly recommend it. But I think that's an example of a tremendous resurrection. Sure. Where somebody said to him, here's what you need to do to roll the stone away. And then he had the courage and the desire to do that. And I think if we're in the tomb, we've got to push that stone and roll it away. We've got to push on it and say, away from it, I'm getting out of here. Mm-hmm. And I think that took a lot of courage also. And you found a quote about courage that I think just sums it up so well. Can you share that quote?
Susan David said that courage is fear walking. When her father was dying and she went to him and talked about all her fears, and he admitted his own fears, and he said, courage is fear walking. Yeah. You're not meant to do it thinking that you're feeling okay doing it. It means that you still move when you don't think you can do it.
Yeah, and I really like that because it means it's okay to be afraid. Yeah. It's very common to feel fear. And I think with the examples we've given too, I think it kind of, this is one thing that distinguishes unity in our statement that says we're more spiritual than religious, and that when in the tomb, those who are extremely religious might pray to some power outside of themselves, God, please remove the stone, or God willing, the stone will be removed. Well, that's one approach, and if it works for you, okay, God bless. We're saying when you're in the tomb, you have the power to remove that stone. You have the ability to look within yourself and find the power. It's already there. You don't have to ask for it, although we can ask for help in removing that stone and realizing resurrections of all sorts, as most of us already have, don't you think?
Yep, I think actually, for me, that moving that stone is always better in my mind when I'm part of the process of making it move. You know, I am owning it, and I'm owning the outcome, and I'm more likely to step out of that tomb when I do.
And you brought up a great point when we were discussing this talk last night. Because I'm thinking, okay, if you're in the tomb and you want to get out, it's dark. And you've got to press your hands against the walls until there's the rock, and that's what I need to push on. And it's an awful place. I want to
life that I felt it was a safe place to be because, well, I'll talk about my tomb experience and how our relationship has helped me in that there have been many years where, when I was 20, I'll go back to when I was 20, I met and fell in love with someone, and I wanted to get married, and I was just so in love. And when I came home to tell my mom that I met this person, we're going to get married, she was not happy. She was not excited for me. She did not want to meet him. She did not want to meet his family. And I was just heartbroken. And what eventually happened, I did marry him, but she stopped. She cut off all connections with me afterwards. And for the duration of that marriage, she would not talk with me. She advised the rest of my siblings to not be involved with me or connect with me, and it was a really difficult time. I realized for me that I was so hurt that I didn't want to be hurt again. I wasn't sure I wanted to trust anybody to get so close to me that they could hurt me that way. And I tried so hard to talk with her and to work things out, and it just was not going to happen. So in many ways, I have to say, our relationship has helped me to start coming out of the tomb, because I truly, for years, did not trust anyone to get close enough to them. I just assumed that they would be angry with me about something, and then they would leave.
So you essentially made a conscious choice to remain in the tomb.
I did make a conscious choice.
Yeah.
I made sure I set up any kind of connections or relationships that I had with other people in a way that I could stay protected and not feel the loss if they decided to leave.
I can relate to that, and because, like, initially I thought tombs are dark, and you have to press your hands against the wall. But I think of some of my experiences. I think there were times I brought in electric lighting into the tomb and maybe hung some pictures on the wall and put out a nice sofa there, and this is pretty comfortable. Some would call the comfort zone a tomb in some ways. But ultimately, hopefully, I would see that whatever I was thinking, whatever I was doing, even though it was very comfortable, wasn't serving me. No. And my prayer to myself is, where else am I doing this? Where else am I comfortable to the point where I could be growing, I could be realizing life at a higher level, and I'm not. So
I realized how much my choices were limiting me in having the experience of living. And one of the quotes I love that Susan David gave was that discomfort is the price of admission for a meaningful life.
Ooh, I like that.
And I'm in a place in life right now, I'm willing to be just uncomfortable to move forward and have a meaningful life, because I've realized how much I've missed out.
Could you repeat that? I like that quote.
Discomfort is the price of admission for a meaningful life.
Wow. So take a risk.
Take a risk.
Take a risk a day. I remember giving a talk a long time ago titled "Take a Risk a Day." Every day, do something risky, and that, because risk to me creates a discomfort. What's going to happen? I don't know what's going on here.
Yeah, when you want to go and talk to that person, you're not sure how they're going to react to what you say.
Yeah.
I mean, you're taking a risk. You're stepping out of the tomb. Is there an area in your life that you may have settled for the tomb experience? Is there an area that you have realized that maybe you're just a little nervous about stepping forward out of where you're comfortable? I can tell you it is well worth the risk. Even in moments where it didn't seem like it was, as I continue walking out, I've learned and been able to create relationships and connections that I never thought I would. So it is worth the risk. And, Unity Spiritual Center is all about supporting the journey. And the journey is good. It's a good one when you invest in it in that way.
And I'm wondering, how do you know if you're in the tomb? Sometimes obviously, because you're hurting or whatnot, but how do you know when you're comfortable and you're seemingly happy? And I would, if I were working with somebody and they were asking me that, I would say, what's calling to you that you're fearful of responding to, or you're reluctant to responding to, and that's where your quote about courage is fear walking. Maybe we're so comfortable, I'd really like to try to do something, but then we come up with all the reasons why we can't, and we need the courage to walk through that. I think that's one way, another way of recognizing that we're looking for a resurrection.
I think too, there's another way of being in a tomb. You could be in your tomb very comfortable, but for me, one of the things that lets me know I'm doing something different is when I go out and I act in a different way, or I greet a different person and I start a conversation and I come home feeling happy. Those little moments of feeling like happy, like, wow, not just content, but happy. Like, wow, that was surprising. I got to meet so-and-so's sheep. I went to Catherine's farm and I got to meet her sheep, and that made me happy. But I had to leave my comfort zone to do that. Yeah. And when I find those moments where I'm excited or I feel happy, that's letting me know what I'm doing is different. Not just comfortable, like, oh, I had a good day, there's nothing unusual, but like a moment where you come home and you're excited to share, hey, can you guess what happened to me today? Then I know I'm leaving a comfort zone or a tomb of routine.
And I know we're going a little long today, but it's Easter, and Easter talks are usually a little long. So I think we experience resurrections. We were so privileged to be introduced to the course, How We Love, the book, How We Love, and the course, and we've taught it a couple times. And within that course is a tool called a comfort circle. It is where we speak to each other about something that's bothering us. One person is the speaker, the other just listens. You can't interrupt, you can't judge, you just listen and then repeat back what you've heard, and there's a script for the questions. And we enter the comfort circle with an issue, with a problem, something that needs to be talked about. And we always leave it just feeling so much lighter. So I think, to me, that's the resurrection. That's rolling a stone away that,
agreed,
if those stones were left there, after a while our relationship would suffer as a result. But it clears the air every time.
Yeah, I used that with you this morning.
Yeah, that was really great.
And it made me feel so much better just to share it because part of our journey is to walk it together and not be alone and isolated.
And so sometimes I think the stone can be rolled away through mere communication.
Agreed.
So often. Yeah.
Agreed. So I hope you have decided to leave your tomb today and found a way to do that feels exciting to you and uplifting and new.
Absolutely.
Because Easter is a new day, and you can be a new expression of who you have always been, an even better one. So with that, shall we close?
Yes.
Let's do our prayer for protection.
Okay, shall we read it together?
Let's do it.
Okay.
The light of God surrounds
us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. And shall we invite them to our Zoom session now?
Yes, please come over to our Zoom sessions. Thank you, Mary and Stan. I saw your message. And Joe, thank you. And Miriam, we're looking forward to talking with you more in our Zoom session. So just switch on over and we'll see you there.
And they know to get there through the email you sent.
Yes, through
right?
the email.
There's a link there that says click here.
Yep.
Okay, I'm going to start livening up my computer, and we'll see you in a moment on Zoom.
Take care.
God bless everyone. Bye.
Bye-bye.